Experience hospitality the Northwest way at the Everglades Hotel. Located on the banks of the River Foyle, the Everglades Hotel is just minutes from the centre of Derry, Londonderry, with free on-site guest car parking. Whether you're here for a family meal, a big celebration, or simply a peaceful retreat, will make your experience as memorable as the sights in the city. Visit Everglades Hotel Derry for accommodation bookings, the latest menus, live shows and events, and much, much more. See you there.
Welcome back to the latest episode of Gaelic Lives. It's a Thursday edition, another feature show. On Monday, as I say, we were talking about the current. There's a wee bit of an echo there, is there?
Close the door. Well, I'll go into another room.
No,
There's a woman doing dishes here. Better get rid of the dog. Come on. Thanks. How are we now?
100%. Football was easier. Football was easier than this, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Technology is not the easiest thing for older men.
That's us. We'll go now. So, good afternoon and welcome to the latest episode of Gaelic Lives. It's a Thursday show, a feature one. On Monday, we were talking about the club championships of now. We're now looking back to the 90s. We're taking a delve into the Killybegs story, an amazing story of, I think it's 5 titles in 9 seasons. And thankfully, I'm joined by a man this morning, John Cunningham, all the way from Killybegs across the connection, who is involved in it, was captain in the 95 team. So technology nearly beat us, John, but I think we've got over the line for now.
For now, anyway, so hopefully it'll continue on that way.
John, thanks very much for jumping on. But I suppose it was a real brilliant era for us. But what's the sort of thing that you always remember from it?
I suppose we were very fortunate. We were very, very successful as an underage side, and it's kind of everything kind of built from the very beginning, from under 12 right up to senior, and we're very fortunate with a very talented group of players that all came at the one time, and we were lucky enough to kind of hold the most of them, and everything kind of started early, and then we eventually got to win a senior championship in 1988, which was a year of turmoil for us, as we'd lost our captain. We were playing Iru in Ballyshannon one Saturday evening in June, and unfortunately took a heart attack at half time of the game, and he passed away, and the game was cancelled. So that was a kind of a bittersweet year. I suppose it kind of galvanised us as a side, and we were fortunate enough to win the championship and Eamon Byrne's memory. So that was it was a bittersweet year for all of us, but I suppose it was fitting on and that we won the championship in Eamon's memory in 1988. So that kind of was the starting point of our senior championship journey. So it was pretty tough at the time, but we were certainly lucky enough to win 4 more championships in the 90s. So we're very fortunate, and we're grateful that we had such a talented group of players, and we were able to achieve very good success for the club.
And did you literally just have to put your arms around each other and stick together and just get through it? Because it's difficult. It's in the middle of the season, and then I suppose it's getting back to training, it's getting back to games. Was that just the community, just more or less?
Well, that was part of it, and I suppose football was a great distraction as well, and we had something to focus on. And I suppose as a group, I suppose we felt that it was a way of dealing with the grief and all the sorrow that was around at the time. And Eamon obviously had a young family as well, and so I suppose the training, and I suppose we started winning games, and that helped us along, and as I say, we were very fortunate. Then we ended up winning the championship in '88. So it was tough times.
And rewind the clock back, like you say, like would you have been more or less successful at every age? Like I know a few of you went to win the McLaren Cup. You went up to PCC to study, and then you as a group, your group obviously won the. Did you do back to back up in the minor tournament in Belfast, or maybe 2 and 3 years or something? So it was a pretty golden generation, like right away. And that's what you're touching on.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right. So I didn't play under 12 now, but I played in all the rest of the age groups. And as you say, we won the St. Paul's tournament in '84 and '85, which was also a special time. And it's you're on this journey, and I suppose we were lucky that there were 4 Killybegs lads that went to PCC in Falkirk, and we won some the Ulster College's titles there as well. Even though it was B grade, we were always gaining momentum, and you're developing a winning attitude, and so that helped us on the way to senior,
And like growing up yourself, was it just a fascination with football from day one, or as you say, you didn't play under 12s? Were you like a late starter, or?
Well, it's an interesting story. I actually moved back from London in 1980, and I went to the boarding school in Falkirk. Up there, I was 13, and that's when I started playing Gaelic football up with Father Sean Galler up in the college. So that was the beginning of my journey, and so that was the starting point.
That's Father Sean who he was involved in all those record keeping.
That's right. Yeah.
He lives over in Godore. Funny, I was talking to him during maybe 2 or 3 weeks before Donegal's All-Ireland final, and he's just an encyclopedia of a man. So there you go. There you go. He was your starting point, as you say.
Yeah, we started and we played in the Laughlin Ewer, and we played in the Herald, and we won both of those, and we ended up then we won 2 McLarens as well. So and he was the manager throughout, and he was a great inspiration for me. Obviously, I was starting late, and then obviously playing for Killybegs and all the players that we had, and obviously we were lucky that we had so many talented players, and we enjoyed an enormous amount of success. So, and funny enough, this weekend we just had a reunion for the 1985 county minor team. So we had that on Saturday night, and we caught up with a lot of boys we haven't seen for a lot of years. So that was enjoyable.
Funny, I did see a photograph of that, and I was going to wonder. I was thinking to myself, if you're Donegal minor champions during that time, you're bound to have a heavy enough representation. How many had you?
We had 7 on the panel. So that was. I think that there was 5 or 6 played, and there definitely was 5 of us played in the Ulster final in Florence that day. So it was. Then we moved on. Then some of us played under 21, and then obviously senior. So, but the biggest problem that we had, I suppose, as a club team, was we always struggled for numbers. We had an excellent group of players, but we would been down to bare numbers at 18, 19, so that kind of hindered us a wee bit. And then obviously we had a lot of our fellas were fishing at the time, and in 91 we got to the Ulster Club final, and there were 7 of our lads offshore fishing at the time, and it badly hindered us in preparation. So a lot of them were some of them actually flew back from Norway for the match a few days prior to the game, so that didn't help us. But anyway, unfortunately, Castleblaney beat us by a couple of points at the Oma. So that was our difficulty, keeping numbers.
Well, you were saying there, like we'll come to that Ulster run later on, whenever we're sort of talking about just that really consistent level of performances in Donegal. But you mentioned luck there. Like, was it? You obviously had people around the club, I would imagine, that was steering you in that right direction. Because it can't all be luck. This good crop you had. You just had to work at it, or somebody was laying the foundation somewhere.
Well, Jimmy White was the man that started the whole ball rolling. Jimmy would have been a prominent referee as well, and the county referee. So he was the one that started training, and he would have been into. He went to Gormastown and places like that to do coaching, and he wasn't altogether much older than us altogether. He was 5 or 6 years or 7 years older than us. So he was with us the whole way from the start. A player manager, and he actually managed the minor team in 1985 for the county. He was involved then with the county under-21 team in '87 that we won the All-Ireland. So he was with us the whole way, and then I think he scored a goal in the '88 final towards the end, and then he was player manager then for a number of years, and so he was the mainstay at a club level that kind of brought everyone through.
And you hadn't won a title until the first of that real run was '88. Like how long? Sorry, how close were you in the years sort of after St. Paul's, whenever you were like 17, 18, to actually getting over that line? Because it's I suppose like every club, John, it's not overnight. You have a few years where you're close and getting there, but you don't get there. So what was the sort of years like?
So '86, I think we got to a county semi-final and were beaten by Red Hughes. So we were 19 at that stage. So it was, I suppose, given the success that we've been having, I suppose we kind of felt that we should be winning everything. But yeah, as you're saying, all these things, you put them into the bank and you learn from it. And I suppose ultimately, then what happened in '88 then kind of galvanized us then to make the breakthrough. So that was, and then '87 we'd won the All-Ireland under-21s, and we got beaten the first round in the championship against St. Ewan. So that kind of knocked us back there, and then we won it in '88. So that was a big time for the club, because the club had won a championship in '52, but it was amalgamation between Killybegs and Kilcara at that time, and so it was our major breakthrough then, just to win the club title.
And what would the average age have been in '88? Like, had you enough? Like, had you a real good backbone of older people to try and steer you? Or was it pretty much yourselves?
Oh, the average age of the team wouldn't have been 23 or something like that. We had a couple of older players.
You had to learn to stand up for yourself from very early then.
Well, that's a couple of a wee bit different now, mind you. But yeah, we there would have been a few. There was a lad, Mickey Campbell, was there. He came back to help to play, and he was tough. And then Jimmy White's brother Kevin would have been playing as well. So they were a bit older than us, and they would have helped out immeasurably, And so but by and large, it was a very young side at that stage.
And then, is Jimmy the person that tries to help you through that tough time you had in '88? Was it just like somebody who's leading the thing? Is he literally trying to guide you through it, trying to just be like sort of the mentor figure in the middle of it? Like not even in a football way, just trying to bring you together.
Yeah, I suppose Jimmy was only very young himself there. He's probably 26 or something at that stage. But I suppose the whole community rallied round together, and the club, and I suppose, as I said before, the actual training and playing then was a big help. It was a devastating time for us.
Was training tough? Hard work.
Yeah.
Getting into shape. There's no shortcut.
No shortcut. There never is any shortcut. So that's so we moved on then, and so we're very lucky.
Well, what's the memories of the actual final?
It is, Jesus.
First one's probably always special. Like I was interviewing somebody last week from Kingscourt, and they said the first one was just really special. Is that something that users?
Yeah, the first one, and the last one, they were extremely special. The first one, we had scored a late goal. Kilcara they got a penalty that I think they should never got a penalty, and they got into the lead, and we scored a late goal to win it, just in the last minute or something like that, and it was just a huge outpour of elation and all kinds of things, and obviously it was emotional too after what had happened, but we certainly enjoyed it for a few days after that.
And like, is it just the town's packed? Is that what it's like?
Oh, the town was dry. You couldn't get moving anywhere. I think it was good for everyone that we ended up winning the title because of obviously what had happened to Eamon. When everybody, the town, it was with a parade coming in, and the whole town seemed to be there, and the whole community was there, and it was. I think it was a fitting way to finish the season, for Eamon.
I think it's a really strong area, like back then, that sort of that region, like you'd Niamh Columba, Kilcar, yourselves are dry, so it was like, whereas nowadays it's a lot more spread out, where there's
that's right,
trouble everywhere. But back then, like, that was, what's that like, John? Was it just rivalry in every corner, teams to beat in every corner?
Because as you say, the Niamh Columba and Kilcar and Ardra were the three clubs beside us, and they were extremely strong, and so every day you went out was a battle, and there was no easy victories at that stage. And you had to turn up, and not every day you could win either.
How did the amalgamation with Kilcar work in something like that?
Sorry?
How did the amalgamation with Kilcar work out in the middle of all that? Because as you say, they're rivals, and they had won 6 titles around that time.
Yeah,
that
amalgamation was in 1952, so that was a way back and long before my time. But thankfully, we haven't had to amalgamate since. But there were a lot of exceptional players around the southwest Donegal at that time. And all the championship games were very, very hard fought, and they were very hard to win,
And did you get the feel, like, as you say, like, you're used to winning at school level, your underage club, and then like you're involved in successful Donegal teams, but did you get the feel that it was the start of something in '88, because you weren't back in the final until 1990, and then you won it that year. You got to Ulster final, but thinking back to '88, did you get that feeling? Looking around here, we're 22, we're 23 years of age. This could last forever, or last for a career.
Well, I suppose when you're young and you think every year you're going to be competing, and you have to. It's like everything. You have to prepare properly, and you have to be in the right frame of mind. And then I think that Barry Cunningham went to play in London. Well, he actually went to New York in the late '80s, and then he ended up in London in 1990, and they were actually beaten by Lavey in the All-Ireland quarter final.
Yeah, went
so
extra time.
He came home then, and he was a big addition too, because you need quality players to compete, and even at that you need a bit of luck, and you need to prepare properly, and then see where it takes you. So I suppose it was a hard blow. In 1990 we lost to Niamh Columba, so we regrouped then for '91, and thankfully we got over the line and won our second one in '91.
I think Lavey played Niamh Columba in Ulster that year. They still talk. The Lavey people still talk about that day in Ballbuffet, that it was nearly like a turning point for them, because I think there's a guy, Felix Convery, come on. He scored a couple of points whenever they were struggling, and they would always say that was a moment for them in their journey, and like that was
Yeah,
one of your.
I think memory serves me. I think it was only a point or so on it.
Yeah. It was pretty tight. Like they would. I'm always from Derry, and you'd be chatting to them, and they would reference that game quite often when you bring up that campaign. They would obviously mention the one in Ballinascreen against Tyrconnell Gales where the Anthony McGurk got a goal out of somewhere. He says that hit him and went in, so I don't know. So
yeah, I was actually at that game, and they were very fortunate to get a win. So they were. So Tyrconnell Gales kind of lost their way just momentarily, and there was a bit of a melee on the sideline, and Lavey squared the ball from the sideline, and
that was it.
That was it. They got the goal from it, and that was it. So they were fortunate enough that day. Tyrconnell Gales they had a very good side. I think James McCartan was playing that day too for them.
It was maybe Barry Breen, Matty McLean. I remember.
Yeah, Matty was there too.
Yeah. And then 91 to get that Ulster final, like you touched on it earlier, just the fact that the lads were away fishing, and it was just affected preparations. But like after winning the Donegal title, like he says 88, where that was like it was a good way to finish the year. Was Ulster something you didn't fully buy into until 91, or was it just not in the radar maybe?
It wasn't looking back, it wasn't on our radar at all. Like we played Pierce Oaks at home, and they beat us up in Fantra, and I suppose we after the emotions of winning the championship, we kind of really didn't focus too much on it. But then obviously as time passed and we got to 2001, and we were 3 years older, and it was something then that we set our mind to, and we would have prepared fairly well, even though some of the lads weren't able to go to the training and that. But we certainly, once we won the championship in 91, we were focused in on them. And then it's like everything, you win a game and you get a bit of momentum. We played Dungiven and we beat them, and we gained a lot of confidence out of it, and then got a bit of momentum, and so then we played Downpatrick then, and the next game, unfortunately for us, John Van Yaller got hurt in that game, and then he was injured then for the final. He tried to start the game, but he wasn't able to continue on. So, but you're losing big players, and they're hard to replace. And every especially in club matches, if you're losing people, you're going eating into your numbers. And our numbers were always a bit small anyway. But that's how it played out.
What way did the fishing season, like when would they have been sort of?
At that time, the fishing season now is totally changed with the way the quotas and all that stuff has gone. Those lads would have been started fishing in early August, and they probably wouldn't have stopped fishing at that time until well into April, May, maybe. So it was always disruptive. These boys were in full-time jobs, and that was their priority. And it was always a challenge then to get them fit, and because obviously there were some excellent players, and so that was a challenge. So I don't think you would get too far now in Ulster club if you had boys that weren't able to fully commit to training. But it was tough.
What sort of a group was it like to be part of? Like, obviously, you were successful and you won your titles, but was it just close? Was it good crack?
Well, obviously, there was a core of that team that we all kind of grew up together. We were all pretty much the same age, and we had a few older lads, and but I know there was a good gang of lads, and we certainly used to enjoy the good days anyway. But we always have a good social end and part of it as well. Any of the victories and some of the losses too. We always we would always mark it anyway.
I suppose you have to, really. Like you were driven, you were successful over an extended spell, but it's a community thing. Gee, I think that's what sometimes we lose sight of a wee bit. It's a community thing, and it is crack, and it is
Well, that's
letting off a bit of steam and make it. Like I would say, probably sharing your success with all the locals and the fans and people around the area. Like that's probably the special side of things.
Yeah, well, as you know, like, I mean, obviously, they're everybody's families are involved, and people's partners, and so that's the great side of winning with your club, because it's the people you grew up with, and you obviously have a special bond with them. Obviously, we had some good success with the county as well, but to do it with your own to win a senior championship with your own gang is a very, very special thing, and it's something you take with you throughout your days, and unfortunately for us, it hasn't happened in a long time.
Well, like back then, there's only a couple of years you didn't actually get to the final, so that's what I mean. I'm always intrigued by club that has that level of dominance, has that level of consistency, because there's obviously good players, but there seems to be, you need the mental side of it. You need to have, just as you say, that focus of turning up at the start of the year and thinking, right, what can we do to win this thing this year, or what can we do to go one better or back to the final? So that focus just has to be there, and you've had it. It's obvious you've had it.
Well, we did. By and large, we did, but unfortunately, there was a couple of times we just didn't prepare properly, and we got caught out. We're an exceptionally good side in '93. Declan Boyle was playing at that stage before he went off to Celtic. He actually probably was at Celtic at that stage, but he played in the '93 final. But we didn't prepare properly, and some of the boys thought it was only a matter of turning up, and we got sucker punched, and Kilcar deservedly won the '93 title, and you really need to prepare properly and give everyone the due respect that they have. You're in the county final, you have to go and win it. It won't be handed to you. So we would have been disappointed. And some of the years were 90 and 93, obviously, where we were beaten. But at the end of the day, the onus is on yourselves to prepare properly and get the job done. When it's over, if you want it, you want it, and it's great. But if you don't do your job properly, you're not gonna be too successful, I can assure you.
When did you get a sense in that '93 final that things weren't right? Just there wasn't the same spark on the day, or halfway through the game you think we're not at it? Because it's maybe a scary enough thought when you realise, look, we're actually not at it today.
I think looking back on the game, I think within 10 or 15 minutes, I certainly would have realised that we were far from at our best, and obviously when you're in that situation, it's very hard to switch a switch and say, listen, it's time to get going here, and ultimately it didn't happen, and to be honest, Kilcar, they were more than worthy winners, because we certainly weren't mentally up for the job, because some of our lads just didn't. They thought it was a matter of just turning up, and that's, unfortunately, that's not the way it works.
And was that the disappointing thing, John, that could have been 3 in a row?
Yeah, that was bittersweet, because obviously you're setting out these challenges for yourself as you're going along, and we'd won 2 in a row, and then to win 3 in a row then is a big, would be a huge achievement. So then you set these goals for yourself and your team, and ultimately then if you mess up, and it's very hard to get that opportunity back again. Everything, a lot of things have to fall in place before you're going to get into a situation where you're going to compete for a 3rd title in a row, and so that was very disappointing. Obviously, most people will tell you that you remember the big defeats more than the big ones. Well, I certainly do. You know.
Would Kilcara been a bigger rival than anybody else then? Who's Glen? Where you played Glen quite often?
Glen, there was big rivalry between the three sides. You know, Ardra, Glen. I mean, we played Glen 4 or 5 county finals, and we played Kilcara in two. So there was big rivalries, and obviously then there was a good few from all those sides that were on the county squads, and so it was it was a golden period for club football in the southwest Donegal, because there were a lot of exceptionally good players there.
And like, as you touched on, like even your own club team, the level of players involved with the county team, to have that amount of people playing on a county squad, obviously tells you a lot about the quality in your team. Like,
yeah, you see, that's it, and then funny enough, then if you have a young group of players that are coming through all together, and then they're successful, it's very difficult then for younger players to break in and to stick with it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes then you have a situation where it's kind of counterproductive, because the boys can't break through into the side, and they kind of lose a bit of interest and a bit of hope, and they kind of drift off. So it's very hard to get the balance right, and so it kind of, and then you have a situation then where you have a group of men then are kind of around all at one age, and they're kind of near enough finishing up at the one time, and there was a bit of a void when that happened with us, you know. Obviously then the fact that we're down Killybegs down and the work situation, and people then moving to Dublin and all that kind of stuff, it's difficult to keep the whole thing going, you
know. What was it like to be a captain? I think it was in '85. Like, was that an amazing feeling, or maybe was that the only year you were captain of the club, or were you captain before?
I was captain a few times, but I was 95 I was captain of that year we won. So it's special. It's not really something I dwell too much on. As long as we were winning, I didn't really care who was the captain, to be honest. It made no big difference. I just want to get out and keep winning, and that's. We were lucky enough that there were 7 or 8 of our lads that were all they're all big, strong characters, and you know, they were kind of everybody. They were kind of captains on their own right. So once we knuckled down and put our minds to it, things generally went fairly well for us. You know, it's just on the occasions where people just fall off a wee bit. That's kind of when the trouble starts. But no, we had a lot of big characters, and obviously it's nice to captain the team on you won a county title, but no, we were okay in that regard.
And then is it hard? Are you just having to pull boys into the lane to say, look here, let's go at this thing? Because I suppose it's like every team that's successful, you have a core of players that what do they call it now, setting the standards. But I suppose that you were doing the exact same thing. What?
Yeah,
was that just telling boys the level of training that was expected of them, or I don't know, the intensity around training, or what? Because it has to come from within, and you seem to have that.
Well, that's it. Well, to be fair, generally we trained. We always would have trained fairly well and prepared well now. But in '96 now, it was. We really went after it now. We trained exceptionally hard, and it stood to us because we had a couple of playoffs, and we had some replays, and I can't remember now what it was. We played 7 or 8 games in the championship, which was probably still a record. But But I'd say that year we kind of knuckled down really hard, and thankfully we won a couple of games by a point, and we built up a fair resolve at that stage, and so it was kind of as you go through the different games, we came back from 5 and 6 points down, and somehow got over the line. But I think what we did an awful lot of training that year. It's probably the hardest we trained of all the championships, and it's probably what got us over the line in the end.
And where did that decision come from to go harder at it in that particular year?
I don't know. We had a change of manager. Patrick McShay, he came down, and he I suppose a new voice, and Jimmy was still around at that stage, and it was a new voice. And then I suppose, and then there's a couple of things happening as they always do during the year, and you have some ructions, and things are kind of leveled off, and everybody gets on the horse, and away you go. And so it depends. Sport's a funny thing, and sometimes small things galvanize a group of players, and then everything, you grow momentum from it, and you become hard to beat, and you're kind of, the confidence is starting to surge, and then you build up this trust. I suppose that was the main thing for us over a long period of time. We knew there was a big level of trust between the players when things were going well. Even if we were going down the stretch and you were a point down, or we never seemed to panic, and because everybody kind of knew the role, and you could work at it, and played. We were good at playing the moments, the big moments, and games, where there's a crucial ball to be won. Maybe you're a point down, and the clock's running out, and that's what you kind of learn that somebody's going to come up, and if there's a dirty ball to be won, somebody will reach in there and they'll win it, and that's that's kind of what successful teams do. They have a level of trust within the team that they kind of get out of tight situations, and obviously then when things fall off a bit, that doesn't happen as often as it did when everybody was pushing the same road,
I think that season, I actually checked it there. It's 9 games you played that year, and like 9 games. That's savage. Like that was the time. Whenever you played home and away, and if you won one each, you played a third game. Isn't that the way it was?
That's right. Yeah. That's the way it was. Yeah. And then we
and that's tough, playing 3 games against the same team within a few weeks, where there might be a couple. You might have to settle a score from the first game and things like that. So that's going to be.
Well, that's right. And funny enough, that Ballyshannon came to Finstering. Actually, I can't remember now. I think they might have beat us by 8 or 9 points in our home game. And so then we went up to Ballyshannon, and it was a ding dong game, and David Meehan was in our goals, and he made a cracking save, and I think we won by a point or 2 at the end. And then obviously then we had to go to a third game in Donegal Town, and then I think that ended up level, and I think we'd play them again and went extra time, and I think we were half time at extra time. I think we were 5 points down or something, and Mark Boyle managed Boyle with 2 goals then in the second period of extra time, and went on to win it. So all these wee things happen,
That had to be sweet, as I say, when you dig out a result, it's always that wee bit more satisfying.
It was extremely satisfying then, and then as I say, then you get this belief and a level of trust then, and you there's no big panic, and everybody's doing their job, but I think we must have played nearly week after week at that stage. Most of the games were in Donegal Town on Saturday evenings, and we enjoyed it. We enjoyed '96, and it was an exceptional year for all of us. The way the thing happened.
Hi, Ballyshannon must have won it in '94 because Blahy beat them in Ulster. Blahy had won Ulster in '85 and they played Ballyshannon up in Blahy. So, as I say, that was another team that you had.
They're an exceptional side also, and they beat us, I think, in '94, and we played them in Kilcar, and they had us for 2 or 3 goals, and that kind of put paid to us. But no, they had some exceptional players. John Duffy was knocking around at the time, and Ewan Doyle. They had Val Murray. There was piles, and they were all very talented lads, But we had a very tough day up in Ballyshannon, and to force the third game.
Well, it effectively turned your season because suppose if you lose, you're gone. No back door.
Well, that's
no
what
group,
I say.
no group stages.
You kind of, I suppose there's some harsh words said, and we need to knuckle down here and get the finger out. And so, and probably said being from Ballyshannon probably added a bit of spice to it as well, So, yeah, it was they give us a bit of a lesson now in the first game. So, and sometimes that can be a blessing, And obviously we made a decision to go all out, and we're lucky enough. We things went well most of the days for us, and we came out the right side of it. But it was very enjoyable. We built a huge momentum, and that kind of carried us through. And there was an awful lot of people going to watch the matches, and it was a great time to be involved in that. And then ultimately, we ended up winning it as well. So which was a icing on the cake.
Did you celebrate twice as hard because you played twice the amount of games?
Well, we celebrated after a big game, as far as I can remember.
Well, funny whenever you said the 3 games were in Donegal town on Saturday nights, I was trying to wonder. I started to wonder at what stage you got home from Donegal town. That's what made me think.
Don Brassel used to look after us very well in the Abbey, I have to say. And football's all different. The social end of the thing has kind of more or less collapsed, but we certainly enjoyed our time.
I suppose that is the disappointing fact now. Like obviously Donegal went to an All-Ireland final this year, and back-to-back Ulsters and all of that, and the level of preparation and all counties are the same, but that would never happen now. Like it's what you talk to somebody after a game and it's about recovery and back to training on Tuesday, but like he's obviously really, I'm not saying he's partied hard, but he's obviously really enjoyed each other's company, and like
oh yeah, I think obviously then your club and your club people are in around you, and you're winning, and everybody's on a high, and that's I often speak about it. We around that time, and the social side of the game, and we used to go to Glenconkill, and we used to play hard, and then you'd end up, there's 2 sides of you up in the pub, and you have a bit of crack, and you'll be marking a card for the next day that you'll be playing them, and that's, but the social end of it's completely gone now. So we're thankful enough that we were playing when we were.
I suppose that's the memories you'll always have. And what sort of characters he's got within the group? He's obviously good footballers and strong characters. You were talking there about like setting standards, but like had he's any wind up merchants, or he's got a mix of
everybody, sure,
a mix of personalities.
We also surely had, and with a fantastic goalkeeper too, that he unfortunately passed away there a number of years ago. And
is that David? Is that David? He got man of the match in one of the finals. I was reading.
He did. Yeah. So we had a good few lads now who like to party and a bit of crack now, to be honest. Giving away no names.
Was David your keeper for all of that? Was he?
No, he would have been fishing too, and he used to lose a bit of interest times, and then when he made up his mind, he and put his head. but he's mind to it. He was an exceptional keeper. He had a good kick out, and I think he was great. And but he kind of used to drift in and drift out. He wasn't dying about training and stuff. But anytime he was playing, we were glad to have him.
What's in terms of, it's probably a difficult enough question because you're chatting about nearly a decade's worth, but is there a memorable game that sticks out above them all? Like, I know you touched the first title was special, and then obviously games.
The goal and at the end of the '88 final, that is the crowning glory, because you know, you're kind of snatching the win, and even though I thought we played pretty well that day, and I think ultimately I'd say we were just shaded it. We probably were the better side, and obviously then they had got Martin McHugh scored a penalty and kind of give them the lead, and then we kind of stole it at the end. So that was the exceptional memory from all of it, for us, for me anyway, I'd say, and for anybody else that was there that day. But there was loads of days that are standout. We played up in St. Paul's in the minor final in 1985, and it was I think it was New Year's Day, and there was hailstones and there were all kinds of. It was a terrible day, and one of that now for the second one, it was pretty special. So there's countless days that there's just so many of them, but '88 was the one that stands out. '96 too, for different reasons as well. You know, obviously we'd played so many games, and that was sweet too as well. So.
And here, do you be in contact much, or have some moved away, or are you still?
Most of the lads are knocking about. Obviously, David passed away, and there's one of the lads lives down in Wexford, but by and large, the most of them are all close by. And you see most of them fairly regular, you know. There's a couple of them. Paul Callan lives, I don't know, is he living in Dublin or Wicklow, or is he still over that country? He's home there in the summer times. And Declan Boyle lives up in Charles. Most of them, by and large, are fairly close, you know.
And would you be involved in the club much now? Or suppose some are, some aren't?
At different times, some are and some aren't. Peter McGinley puts in a big effort there. He's chairman of the minor board, but we've kind of moved on now.
Different generation taking over things.
Different generation, and you know, my kids have are nearly coming out the other side of the wee girl. She's playing. She's still 22, so we're kind of going the other way now. So it's kind of the younger, you want to see more younger people doing it than old grey-haired men think you're ancient.
It's a sad. I hear you get it too. Daddy, you're not cool anymore.
Exactly.
And like, would you love to be playing now? No, they say nothing beats playing, they say, but would you love to be back playing?
I'd love to be fit to be able to play, but well, the changing of the rules have made a bit of a difference, but I certainly would not have enjoyed. I'm not even sure if I had played the way the football was being played 2 or 3 years ago. It's just absolutely brutal. You know, it's even to watch it is bad. But I'd say it must have been terrible to play in as well. You know, funny, nobody knows how to tackle. Nobody, you know, I don't. Thankfully, it has definitely improved this year.
I meant to ask you earlier on, whenever you were chatting about Fintra, but like, obviously loads of beautiful pitches on the coast. But is that a myth? The short passing game, is that why it was brought on? Like, people say that like Townie's right down on the beach and Maher-Gallon's one day, and
I'd say
is that something that clubs have sort of, you just have to do, or not?
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, even here today, you know, blowing a bit of a gale, and I'd say 80% of the pitches around Donegal are on the coast. There's very few inland. You've St Eunan's, Glenfin, Glenties. There's not many. Glen Swilly and that. There wouldn't be many more altogether. Ballyshannon on the coast. If you go right up along the coast, I'd say 80% of the pitches are on. So that's trying to keep possession when the running game, and that's why it was so prominent when we were playing. And that's. Sometimes if you're up in country and there's blowing a gale, if you kicked it, you would never see it again.
That's right. It is very true. Like, why would you?
That's it. So, you've Bundoran, Ballyshannon, Four Masters, they're all on the coast. Killybegs, Kilcar, Glen, Ardra, they're all Cloughanilly, Gweedore, they're all on the coast. So that was a big part of it. That's why we were always kind of renowned for running the ball,
And finally, you obviously look, I suppose, back where we started. You're bound to look back with fond memories. Do you know where all your medals are? Or, like, if you kept all your mementos and things like that, or how do you sort of look back on it?
I don't really put much stock in it now, but my daughter actually, she got me a Christmas present there a few years back, and she got a few photographs, and she mounted a lot of the medals and around the photographs, which was a very nice thing for her to do. And they have it. I'm not so sure I would have done it now, but it's hanging up in the hallway there. So it's nice to have.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for your time. It's great to look back on all those memories, because they're so important. And say like that. I just remember chatting to somebody and they're thinking like that's a Killybegs team that basically dominated a decade.
Yeah.
And I've heard often people saying it's nearly like it was something it's not that they're a forgotten team, but it was never really talked about all that much, because maybe it was so long ago. But these Feelies maybe didn't get the recognition for that level of success, or maybe not.
We're a funny nation of people. I suppose people like to cheer on the underdog, and once the underdog becomes the big dog, people are kind of like to see it chopped down, maybe, and
you're not an underdog anymore.
No, success is success, and people then, I suppose, they like to see the somebody new coming through, and I don't know, wouldn't be too put out about what somebody else would be thinking. It was great to be in through the middle of it, and recognition. It's just, how important is it really? You just get on with it, and we were just fortunate that we an awful lot of success, and we enjoyed every minute of it. Well, I certainly did.
So I'm always intrigued by the team who keeps coming back. That's something that's sort of always, I suppose you're reading about sport all the time, and when somebody's winning regularly, you always wonder what's under the bonnet in a case like that. So it's always
it's the characters that are in there, and it's I suppose the drive comes within, and as I say, you build up a level of trust, and then you kind of move on from there. So generally, that's if you do prepare right, you won't be far away.
John Cunningham, thanks a million for your time. We thought technology was going to beat us. It didn't. We got online. We get digging back through the memories, and thanks very much for sharing them. And folks, we'll be back on Monday. As I say, Thursday is feature day, and we'll be back on Monday, where we'll be looking into the county titles and county championships as they start to take shape all across the rest of the season, heading into the Ulster campaign. So, John, thank you very much, and it was great to recall all the memories.
Thanks very much, Michael. I enjoyed the chat, and we'll talk to you again sometime.
Experience hospitality the Northwest way at the Everglades Hotel. Located on the banks of the River Foyle, The Everglades Hotel is just minutes from the centre of Londonderry, with free on-site guest car parking. Whether you're here for a family meal, a big celebration, or simply a peaceful retreat, we'll make your experience as memorable as the sights in the city. Visit Everglades Hotel Derry for accommodation bookings, the latest menus, live shows and events, and much, much more. See you there.